Hey,
Hey, girl.
hey, girl.
What's going?
Welcome, y'all. It's ORNOT podcast.
It is. And we the host.
We the host. What's funny is, this is like a sidebar before we get started. I didn't know that was gonna happen.
Yes, I did that.
That was nice. That was nice. Remind me to tell you something about this platform when we get off,
Okay.
because I'm forgetting about it. Okay, so welcome, y'all. For those are my first time watchers, my name is Tasha, and that is my little sister Danielle. You
Hey.
know, before we go a little further, the reason we announce ourselves as sisters because we want y'all to understand that we're like real sisters. Because in today's world, there's a lot of sis, right? So, hey sis, that's my sister, all types of forms of sisters. So I felt that it was a good time to present this, and so everybody understood why exactly I call you my sister.
That's understandable. I think that we thought we looked alike, but maybe
Hmm,
not. Maybe we just look like cousins.
I don't know. We look alike, fool. Y'all, she don't ever think we look alike.
Who cares
Good
so
evening, Lawanda. I was talking to someone about Lawanda today, and I said LT should get an award at the end of the year. You know how people give awards?
much? Very supportive.
Lawanda is super supportive.
Mm-hmm.
She will like every post you post. She will repost you. She will tell somebody about you. And LT is one of those people that when you go to Walmart, you be with somebody at Walmart that know everybody.
Uh-huh.
What am I boring you?
No,
Already we just got here.
it's been a long week.
It's Tuesday.
I know. And I really haven't worked in 2 days.
Oh my gosh. So if you're watching us, if you could please take a moment and just share this post, or if you're watching us on Facebook, share, like it, all the things. Pull a LT for us and be super supportive, because that's why we do what we do, because we like to give back to the people. So I would ask you how your week or a couple of days have been going, but I feel like I already know. So
You mean me?
yeah,
How
you.
you know? I ain't even talk to you like
You
that.
said it was bad. You just said it's been a rough few days.
That
That's
doesn't mean it's been bad now. It has been rough. It's
how
been,
was your day?
I feel
How
like it's definitely Thursday.
how it's not Thursday today.
Okay, well, I saw somebody post on Instagram. Do you know Ashley Simpson?
I saw that post.
On a Tuesday, I'm faded. That's how I'm feeling.
Really feeling faded on the.
And I have that album, actually. It's a very good album if you
That
haven't.
was a good album. I remember that. That was actually a really good album.
You know? So,
Yeah, it's been a day. Because this is recorded, I decided I'm lagging a little bit, but because this is recorded and will go down in history, I decided to touch this briefly. Today is October 29th, so it's a special day for us. It's our cousin's birthday, so happy birthday, Cedric. Up in heaven, holding us down, hoping that I'm sure he sees this. You are deeply, I can't say it enough, deeply missed. But I did want to say his name on the air so everybody knew exactly who the heck he is, the man that hangs up in my car, or the man that's tatted on me, or the bracelet that I never take off, and my sister's best friend and our little cousin. So I'm sure she has something to say, but today's an extremely special day for us.
yeah, I was in my mind, I was over here like, let's go say. But obviously, that's obviously something that I would say to him. But yeah, he was he was a light, and
Mhm.
the world did get a little darker after he left, especially for those who loved him and he loved. But we do miss him quite a bit, and I don't even think he ever got justice.
No.
So that is a sadder note, but even greater note is that we got to be family with him, and it wasn't like typical family. We didn't meet when we were 3 or 1 years old. We both met said at a later stage in our life. which is so interesting. I'll say this really quick. We have a big family, and we don't know half of y'all, and that's a problem. But those that we did grow up with, super grateful for them, but we ain't close with them like that. And let's just be honest, it is what it is. And I think it's so interesting that God places people in your life at a certain time. I joked about it on Instagram today and said, if we had met said when we were much younger, we would have gotten into a lot of trouble with him. And so God knew what he was doing. There has to be a reason for that. So we're grateful for the years that we did get him for. But yes, Cedric Silver.
Funny story. So I went to the it's weird. Anytime I try to get sad, I can like legit hear him tell me to like pull it together, baby
Hey,
girl.
girl.
Yeah, just like with a couple of curse words in there. Like I got very sad this morning, and I could legit hear him tell me.
I have like the last message. I don't know what I would do if my iMessage shuts down.
Right.
Goes away, because that is literally the last message in my iMessage that I always keep. And it's funny enough, it's talking about like dating.
Is he giving you a?
Apparently back then I was having trouble trouble back then, and he was telling me not to worry about it.
Yeah, so, but at least you have those memories, and I think that is super important. So, shout out to my cousin and our cousin in heaven, who definitely looks over us. But tonight is the election night, the election episode that we're doing. And the reason I told my sister, I'm like, I think we should do this because, when you talk about politics, you pick a side. Let's be honest. And if you're not really into politics, you don't know what you're voting for. And I told her, I was like, I want to kind of bring it to the people from layman's terms. I even want to give both sides, not just who I am supporting. Although you may see who I'm supporting with my pin on my pin. It says Black Joy. It says right there. So if that's what we're going to do tonight, we're going to just cover a couple things. Please tell us how you feel in the comments. We want you to engage. That is the purpose. I think my sister calls y'all our siblings. So that is the purpose. So Danielle's I think she's going to lead us, or maybe I'm going to lead it. I don't know. We plan this, but we don't, y'all. So we want this to always feel like you're on FaceTime with us. So Here we are.
So
Take it away.
Okay, so first I would like to know that Tasha was actually a political science major. So politics was like something that she actually studied. I believe that's what y'all do in that major. I don't know. I was at Singleton doing business things. But that's neither here nor there. So basically, we're going to start. Yes?
We got to stop. So you just made a comment about a message, your last message. So I just put it in my phone and couldn't find my message.
You have it, right?
I have his name spelled differently in my.
I know, because that's a whole nother thing. We're not going to go down that road because we didn't spell it like that. First of all,
I tell you, I was not tuned in and nothing I just said just now. My heart.
I didn't even know what his real name was until I went with him out.
My heart just threw up. I'm like,
Okay, so let's focus. Great. Glad you found it.
I'm ready now.
Okay. So Tasha was a political science major. She knows quite a bit about political, stuff. I guess that's what they do. But we're going to start with our take on like what's going on here in our current events. So just a quick rundown. Ballot boxes are being blown up. So I asked my mom today, will those people get to vote again? She said yes, so I'm glad to hear that. However, it is very disheartening that you would want to win so bad that you would delete votes. And I know that doesn't sound outrageous to us because someone probably, they've done that before already. But that's where we are. We, of course, are.
Oh, is it time?
Yes. We are voting for Harris, okay? Harris and Walls. That's who we're voting for. We both have our own signs.
Yeah, props.
And And so why are we voting for her? I mean, first of all, she is for our reproductive rights. I think that's a huge thing for me. And I mean, it doesn't really take much to, what's the word? Like be better than the opponent, because the opponent is trash, in my opinion. Tasha, how do you feel about the opponent?
Can we break down? Can we talk about the reproductive situation first?
Well, I wanted to get your take overall first about the whole.
I mean, I think it's a joke. I'm sorry. You know what's the funny? Long story short, for those who have gone hard for us for a long time, note to self, we're probably one of the longest podcasts known to man. We've been around for about 7 to 8 seasons. And the beginning of this podcast was not just me and my sister, it was somebody else up here as well. And the end of that threesome ended because of the last discussion about the president.
Yes. And Tasha took it off of YouTube.
Yeah,
and
I think it is gone.
Huh?
I believe it's gone. I don't know. It might still be
Oh,
up
it might still be up there. If it is, y'all go find it. It's a great episode because I tore into her. You know, I did.
Yeah, it was a really bad episode. I guess we didn't do the research, because if we had did the research, we would have known that she wasn't on the same. And I mean, we're okay with us being on different pages. Don't get me wrong. If you guys we're not all on the same page, we're cool with that. I love the open dialogue. I love to debate. But it was a very interesting conversation that was had.
Yeah, I mean, the conversation went on into real life. I think that's where another part of the problem went.
Yes.
We were told that we weren't educated.
All because we didn't want to vote for the latter.
There was a lot of slander happening.
It was bad, y'all. But regardless, I do not believe that the opponent, I'm not even going to say his name, is worth the energy. I think it's a joke. I think they put him out there. They tell him what to say. He does the exact opposite. And at this point, a lot of us are just voting for him because a lot of them are voting for him because he's not a woman. That's how I feel about that, to be honest, for the African Americans who do feel that they want to vote for him specifically. Let's just go there. Or brown people, they don't want to vote for her because she is a woman. And I can say that because this is my show. But that's how I feel. Because technically, the abortion piece alone should be enough to sit us down.
I thought I had it in my notes here. And it's not even just about the abortion piece. And I think that's what
exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Marquita.
Marquita says they could have had Joe Biden propped up like the weekend at Bernie's, and I still wouldn't vote for him. I agree with you. I think a big part of the policy that a lot of people are missing and are stuck on the abortion, especially Christians, is that it's not just about women having the right to choose what to do with their body. It has to do with IVF, whether or not you'll get the proper care when doing IVF. It's even putting doctors in compromising situations that they're having to lose their morals practically. When a doctor becomes a doctor, I believe you take an oath that you have to help if a person is in a certain situation, whether you're in the ER or at the traffic light. So that's out the window. If you're in the ER and they said, well, we can't help her until it's life-threatening. And that is why I believe a young woman here in Atlanta, I think her name was Amber. I don't remember. I really hate that. But she passed away because of that. And she had a child. Like, she had a son that she was already caring for. And so the son didn't just lose a mom. Her mom lost a daughter. And I'm sure she was an aunt to someone. And so it's so much more than just whether or not we're taking babies late term, which is not even possible. You can't end a pregnancy at 9 months.
I'm extremely, abortion hits a little different for me. Because a woman can choose to do whatever she wants to with her body. And that thought process hits personal for me. So that's why I pinpointed that. So me personally, that kills all noise to me. And of course, all those things that you mentioned are extremely important as well and are tied into that. It's just taking our rights away. I mean, it's our body, period. A woman should be able to make those choices in all situations. People that are raped, things like that, they can't. Those weren't decisions that they made. And I mean, the amount of women that have been raped is astronomical, and that's just the women that we know, right? And so those are the women that were brave enough to stand up and say something and decided, okay, I'm still going to have a child, or I do not want to live with this. So I decided not to. And I just think, regardless of the religious side of it, we just should be able to make that decision with no issues. Adama makes a great point. He outlined in a marketing campaign about Kamala being for them and him being for you.
Yeah, these ads are getting really outrageous. And I think even that is a play on the LGBTQIA community, and I don't like it. It's like
it's spewing hate. We're just like straight. We're just putting hate.
It's not. It goes now. Now we're talking about civil rights of human beings. So it's just not. And people are really like that. So
I know. Here's the catch. We know that there are people like that, right? Let's be real. That there's still people in this world like that. The problem is we are allowing him to run our country. And the bad thing about it is, based off of, the rules and structure, he doesn't make all the decisions. Okay. And the other people sitting behind the table are very much like him. The old, I hate to say it, but the old white men that have been sitting at the table for a very long time, they feel just as he feels. But the reality is, the minority, we're actually becoming the majority. We just need to vote, and we need to speak up. And we need to know our rights. We need to know the ins and outs about a campaign. And that's kind of what this is for. This doesn't mean, so we may say something here. You might be like, well, you know what? I prefer Trump. That's your business. And if that's what you got from this, then great. You were educated. It was something you didn't know. But we will tell you our side as well.
So do you want to go over some of his policies first, or do you want to go over hers? I want to go over hers for lasting impression last, if you're okay with that. It'll be quick. I mean, there's so many. And his are very surface level, so it's not too much to it. But let me just read some of the ones that really were very interesting to me. He said that
before you start, there are a lot of people here. So if everyone could please stop, share, send this link to somebody in your phone. You can text message this link. This is very important. This is a very important episode, but this can be replayed back. So don't think that you can't replay it back. Okay, go ahead.
He said, stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. I wanted to especially highlight that part because there are a lot of African-American celebrities, specifically rappers, that are, for some reason, supporting him, and then also like doing it like out loud, like, yeah, we're for him. But this is also the man who wants to incorporate, what is it called, frisk, and what do they do in the police? What is it called?
I know.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. He wants to have that. So that's so interesting that they would be so down for that. Anyway, another one, he wants to cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costs, supposedly, on burdensome regulations. Let me go to my contrast one where she actually highlights some of the things. Give me 1 second, guys. And I thought it was very impressive that she was on her website. She has an agenda for Black men. So she said that Donald Trump is serious. He's falsely accused the exonerated five. That's not his policy. Here we go.
Can we touch that?
Yes, hold on 1 second. It says, he'll bring back stop and frisk and enact full immunity for police who commit crimes on duty. That means even if they kill you and the camera says you shouldn't have done it, they're off. It says he'll cut funding, the education. Specifically, he's trying to cut the slave, our actual history, Black history specifically out of school systems. Obamacare, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security will all be cut.
Eat all these nuts. I'm gonna eat
That
all
will
these
be cut.
nuts by the end of the show.
He will slap a Trump tax on everything from food to gasoline, raising costs to the average Black family by nearly $4,000 or more. He will erase 4 years of financial gains and job growth for Black men and leave the communities worse off for it. Those are just some of the things. So you want to go back to his history with Black people?
I just want to stop. So
yes, Taylor's right. I would have to say that. I read his policies, and they're not policies. They are concepts.
I personally know 2 African-American men that are voting for him. And I believe that they're voting for him and they don't know what he stands for. Or
I think they do. I think they're ignorant.
Well, if you were a Black man and you heard about the stop and frisk, Black men are pulled over just for being Black men. They are killed just for being Black men. Okay? And then the cop who kills them, if you support him, will now automatically get off for killing possibly you, sir, who was voting for him for no reason. And the funniest thing of it all is the Black men that I know are extreme Black men. I'm talking Black men with all the stereotypical changes, right? The Black men with locks, Black men that are tall, Black men that stand out and they say, I'm very Black man. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They drive flashy cars.
Yeah.
All the reasons for an officer to pull you over.
Mm-hmm. So what is it then?
I think some, you know how sometimes people just want to be a part of the want to rebel. In this case, it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous for you to rebel against this because the whole world, because many people may think differently. This is so scary. This can affect my child, our nephews, right? This can affect so many people. We just talked about abortion and our rights. Now let's talk about the Black community and how it can affect us when we are literally, we've seen Black men die on camera, on Instagram.
Yeah. We've seen Black women die on camera.
We've seen Black women die on camera, on Instagram, on Facebook, by the hands of the law, unfortunately.
So when we were doing research on this, guys, I actually put in rappers supporting Trump because I'm trying to understand the concept behind it. In a news article in Newsweek from back in June, it highlighted that Donald Trump said that he felt discriminated against, suggesting that is the reason why Black Americans like him, because he also is discriminated against, similar to them. He suggests that his challenges in the business world have given him insight to the Black struggle. Because Black people also face challenges, specifically to systemic barriers. He said that his narrative appeals to Black voters who are disillusioned with the Democratic Party and are drawn to Trump's promises on economic opportunity and criminal justice reform specifically.
Ignorance.
And so people like Lil Wayne, Waka Flocka, and some more.
So here's the thing. One of the men in particular that I know very well falls into this category. He's not a celebrity, but he probably thinks he is. And I think he's forgotten where he's come from because he no longer may feel that he falls in the lower class, right? Or even the middle class. Maybe he feels like he's a higher class. And some of the other things may really apply to him, right? In his bracket, his tax bracket. But the reality is you came from somewhere. Okay. And at the end of the day, let's also remember that although you might make 6 figures, if you make 7 figures, we need to have a conversation. But wherever the dollar signs lie, at the end of the day, you're still a Black man.
Well, the problem, you said it right there. I think the bigger issue is that people are voting for selfish reasons.
Correct.
I don't vote just for myself.
And it's funny, my kid asked me about this, and asked me about why individuals were voting and for the latter and so on. And that's another reason why I did this episode, because I was like, I kind of felt, of course I had the conversation with him and I explained to him, like, we may not, some of these things may not affect us. Uh-oh. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We just can't see you.
Okay, well, I'm just going to keep talking. Some of these things may not affect us, but at the same time, they affect things, people around us. They affect our community. They affect where we come from. And that's the bigger picture. It's not about just you. Like you said, it's such a selfish way of thinking, because we're talking about the leader of our country.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you do go back to the episode from several years ago, I specifically remember telling the other co-host at that time, she was really telling me how stupid I was to go out and be a protester. And I said, but I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for my kids. And I'm also doing it because I would love to tell my children that mom went out there and she was, you know, had a sign, got to make signs, like I got to make a difference, but I'm doing it for someone else. And so if we would stop thinking about ourselves for 1 second, if you know, whether it helps you economically or not, you're voting against someone else's rights.
And we have to keep in mind, at the end of the day, we are selfish beings. A majority of us. All of us have that in us, right? And all the things don't hit home until it hits home. Things don't matter until it hits home. Sometimes we don't wear pink and breast cancer awareness until we know someone that had breast cancer, or until we've decided it and we've gotten checked and we have it. So I'd say to take this as a takeaway, right? All together, be aware. Don't wait to take action until it affects you. Be aware and support before it affects you. You might get you a little extra step in heaven. You never know.
I don't know.
Anita said that Trump is a narcissist. He will not take accountability of what he does and who he affects.
Agreed. Taylor had said that we had on the screen. Taylor said, "I'm convinced people are equating contrary. How do I say that?
I don't know. That's why I took it off."
Okay. Taylor is very I think it's contrarianism with intelligence. They are not the same.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that we're missing the buck. We got to read, people.
Yeah, you have to read.
There's more to why people are running. Like, they have points. There's talking points. There's policies. There's action plans. There's campaigns. There's lots of things. It's not just one thing. It's not just taxes. There are lots of reasons. And what's going to happen is that whatever the reason is, that if there's anyone that is possibly voting, I would love to know, voting for Trump, please speak up and let us know why. We would love to hear your voice, because maybe it's something we're missing. And because right now I can't see. But my problem was the exonerated 5. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if we go back to some of the things that I have a huge spreadsheet here. I mean, items. Jalen says, "Hey, Taylor, hold on now. We ain't got no dictionary." Okay. Taylor, teach us things. Okay. Continue on. Where is that?
Wanda Cross is very verbal tonight.
What does she say?
He's a criminal. Well, he is.
Well, that too. There is that. Okay,
okay, you got it?
Okay, I got it. Trump falsely accused the exonerated 5 and called for them to receive the death penalty. That was in a newspaper. He took out an entire page, paid for that, to talk slam trash about
these boys were in jail forever for something they didn't do.
It says he also has a history as a landlord with repeated allegations of racial discrimination and outright refusal to rent to black tenants. Following the murder of George Floyd, Trump described black protesters, that's me, he said I was a thug, and threatening that when the looting starts, the shooting starts. And I will say I was right there. There was no shooting. None, like 0 nights that I was
there. She would have called me.
0 days, yes. And I did tell my parents after I went, because I definitely would have felt the heat from them. And I ain't got time for that because I'm grown. I went where I was supposed to go. As president, he referred to majority black nations as SHIT whole countries. And then it says, recently Trump spread dangerous lies about Black Haitians eating the pets of their neighbors.
That's he talked about that during the debate, didn't he? We said she was eating dogs or something.
Yeah, that dogs are missing. Dogs are just showing up missing.
Yeah. Is anyone laughing?
They're just showing up. Cats and dogs just showing up missing.
Jalen makes a great point. We're not even in the tax bracket that he wants to help.
No, we're not. And then another thing is, a lot of Black
I'm
people
pretty sure the men that I'm speaking of, they're not in the tax bracket either.
And even if they were, listen, a lot of Black men and women, Black people, period, in our community are stuck on him getting y'all that the check we got. That check was not from him. And if it was from him, your vote is cheap. Because you didn't get that much.
Most people that support Trump realize that he's not even talking to them. His campaign supports the rich. So if you're the middle class or trailer park trash, please join the you know what as we walk to the polls to vote for Kamala. Before we go any further, I do want to say, I would like to give a tip. Our new president, Kamala Harris, I like to speak things into existence. A good way to know how to pronounce her name is to think of comma and then finish it. Kamala. We've been screwing it up. So this is my PSA to the world so that y'all can get it right. It's Kamala. But yes, the Exonerated 5 was, if anyone hasn't seen it, I don't know what it's called.
See it now
on Netflix. I don't know what it's called.
Advise.
I'll be honest. The Exonerated 5 was about a crime that happened in Central Park in New York. And it was 5 boys were involved. They just happened to be around when the crime happened, and they were charged for a crime they did not commit.
Yeah.
Years later. And I mean a decade or more later.
Yeah, I watched the documentary,
you saw it though, right?
But I actually watched the real footage.
Yeah.
And I was like, literally, I became very obsessed. I was watching every footage of them.
I did too, but I'll never watch.
You have to stop.
I will never. I will never watch the doc again. One, I only seen it once, and then I go into these rabbit holes for YouTube, and and I'll never do it again. I will never watch the doc again. How about that? But I did.
Those videos of them were bad.
They were. I made my kid watch it because he needed to see, and he was very surprised. My child was raised in a very cookie cutter home. If we had a white picket fence, we could have had one. I would like to say I was raised that way as well. But our parents, they were very big on us knowing that we were Black, and that although we didn't need for anything, there were people that did, and that we were very blessed. They worked hard for what we got, and that we too would have to work hard for what we had. So although I may have come from a very nice neighborhood, things like that. My mom nicknamed me Angela Davis, and my sister is a Black Panther damn near. So we are very aware. So I felt it was very important. If you've never seen it, although we're telling you we don't want to see it again, it is something that everyone should see. Mm-hmm. Because what's sad is that it can happen today. Because there are people that feel that if you are Black and young and in the space, you did it. And so it's very sad that although they were found not guilty, eventually our old president thought that they shouldn't, it wasn't fair, and he wanted to overturn it, etc. So just that alone, to me, that is horrible. So bad. I'm not even gonna talk about that much more, but it's definitely I don't know who wrote that, like who produced that doc, but that was a really good doc.
Yeah, it was. Okay, let's get over him. Let's talk about our girl. Oh, I went to a rally, guys, for the first time. It was so exciting, and I had so much fun.
It was like a party. Have you seen like the difference? Like the difference
between and we served with our signs.
Yeah.
And it was so many people there, people of all colors, races, backgrounds, old and small and long and tall. There were a lot of fraternities and sororities there. It was really good to see. Usher came out. He did not sing and dance as I had hoped he would, but he did suggest we vote. So I guess he was there
We
for
are on two different spectrums when it comes to Usher. Usher is my generation, and she's such an Usher fan.
I like it my way.
You're in Atlanta. Is that it?
I am. I'm a.
You an
Sometimes I do feel it.
Are you
Sometimes I am an ATLian. I still will put on some T.I. and Rubber Band Man all to death.
You know, I will, but I you know how I feel about T.I., but I do not feel that way about Usher.
I mean, I like old Usher songs. I can't help it. He has classics.
I see some clips, and Usher was like skating across the thing.
Yeah, because skating is big here in Atlanta. People skate. I'm gonna learn how to actually skate.
You don't know how to skate?
I know how to rollerblade. I know how to rollerblade. That's two different things.
You know how to skate.
The last time I skated, I fell and I hurt my shoulder. And I had
skating is my generation. Skating is your sister's generation. So you
know how to skate with the four like this?
Yes, that's what mom and dad bought me before. I only got rollerblades because you came along.
So which one's better?
Was when you were a kid. Okay. The latter part. So they had to.
I love a rollerblade. I'm a rollerblade right on around town. But yeah,
apparently you got somebody to go with. You know.
I knew that was my girl. But yeah, so the rally it was just phenomenal to be there. And then when she came out, it was like they said the older people was like, the seal is being put on. I didn't know that was like a sign. So before the president comes out, they put a seal on the podium. And that lets you know, like, she's coming. She's next. Mm-hmm. And when that seal came out, all the little old black women was like, the seal's out, the seal's out. And I tapped the lady. I'm like, what's that mean, girl? What does it mean? She's like, she's coming. She's coming. She's going to be here in a minute. I'm
like, the queen is coming. The queen is coming.
Yes. I was in there like, what? Straight fangirling over her. But yeah, that was
in person. Is she dope?
She was like,
I love it. And my sisters, we have a family group chat. So if you're not in the family group chat, your immediate family, you know what that means. But anywho.
Well, that wasn't nice. That was very shady. Someone is missing.
Well, Taylor, what I say? This is my show. I can say it. So yeah, so in the family group chat, my sister sent us step-by-step pictures.
Yeah, so I also met the Secret Service, and they had to pat us down. They were much nicer than TSA. The TSA in Atlanta Airport they're warriors. The Secret Service here were so kind. The guy looked in my purse. He picked up my cell phone charger. He's like, I said, it's a cell phone charger. And he said, it's kind of heavy. I said, I know, but I have to capture my girl the whole night. And so he said, okay, it's fine. It's fine. They were so kind.
TSA, you would not have gotten.
If it was TSA, they would have said, ma'am, trash. Or you need to go walk back 5 miles to your car.
How long did you wait?
We waited for hours. We waited for hours, and they eventually passed us water. We waited for at least 3.5 hours, and then they knew that we didn't have seats. They gave out lawn chairs. Everyone who entered around the time that I got there had a lawn chair for free. And we realized, like, okay, we might as well just try to find somewhere. Yes, TSA they're horrible. I don't think they get paid enough. That's probably why they're so miserable.
I don't know. I heard they get paid good.
Well, it's not enough, especially if they're here in Atlanta. The rent is high. Okay. So what we're going to talk about is she has a plan called A New Way Forward. It's more equitable, inclusive, and it focuses on systemic change to benefit all Americans. She has an opportunity agenda for Black men to provide them with the tools to achieve financial freedom, lower cost, to better provide themselves and their families, to provide for themselves and their families. So some of the things are to provide 1 million loans that are forgivable for Black entrepreneurs and others to start a business. She's championing education, training, and mentorship programs that help Black men get pathways to become teachers, good paying jobs in high demand industries. She's supporting a regulatory framework for cryptocurrency and other digital assets, so Black men who invest in and own these assets are protected. She's also launching a national health equity initiative focused on Black men that addresses sickle cell disease, diabetes. These are things that affect our community now, mental health, prostate cancer, and also legalizing recreational marijuana. I love that for us, and creating opportunities for Black Americans to succeed in this new industry, meaning the marijuana industry. And so that is, I'm not sure if that's the A New Way Forward plan or what. I think that is, talks about healthcare access. She has some criminal justice reform in here that includes measures to end cash bail. That's great. I've never had to bail anyone out, but I'm sure you don't want to have to pay cash.
I've done it twice.
The same person.
They're different.
One of them people I don't fool with.
It's a family member.
Yep. Yeah. Remember them cousins we was talking about, y'all? It's one of them. Okay.
And the other one is the family member. The other one is the person that the family member don't like me because of. Small world.
Oh.
Yeah.
Together, don't they flock together? Eliminate mandatory minimum sentences and support rehabilitation programs. I mean, the list goes on. I could go on all of the things.
But we just have to do better. We just have to do better.
We have to just
to be honest, she's handing us something on the platter, whether she's going to get to that in all 4 years, but she's going to start the initiatives. That's another thing. They say, she's going to get to it. She has all these other things she has to do, right? For her to be, when she steps into office. Right. But the reality is, everything that we noted the first half of the show is extremely negative. It's against our many communities, not just my community. Many communities are affected by this. So we definitely need to get out there. There are polls being, polls are being blown up.
Yes, they're blowing polls up, y'all.
It's just like, really I hate to say this, it's just like hanging people on crosses, guys. It's not rocket science what's happening.
No. And some people's health depends on her winning, her affordable care.
I think it's amazing that in today's world, we now have early voting. In the past, early voting was not a thing. And I think it's great that we have early voting. Weren't always able to early vote. And so now that we have early voting, take advantage of that. That should cut down lines for your community.
I think it's over now. Today might have been the last day.
I think today was today, someone said today was probably the last one, but we got one more weekend. I have to look. I'll Google it while we're talking. Because somebody I work with, he said he has the opportunity to vote this weekend, but he's in.
LaWanda mentioned her first-time home buyers. She does have that. It says she has affordable housing initiatives. She proposes to increase access to affordable housing and supporting first-time home buyers through down payment assistance programs.
Y'all,
listen. So Georgia has something like that too, but my realtor tells me that I shouldn't do it. I keep thinking I need it. It can help you with your, Tasha said, I can't remember the exact number, but I go on Zillow often. Yes, I go on Zillow often. Like I can buy a house. I can't.
29,000. 29.
You have to put 29,000. That is far more than 5%, 3%. So I can't even put down 2. Because guess why? Healthcare costs too much. I just spent half the year paying $450 for an infusion. And then I pay another half for another 8 weeks for another $450. This is why people can't afford to buy houses, because healthcare costs too much, especially if you're sick.
You're right.
It's a domino effect, which is why all of these things matter.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like, why she focuses so much on the black man, because all those things do matter. A large majority of our black men are gone to jail due to marijuana, and now it's already legalized, and they're still there, or you know what I mean. And now it's it's an industry, right? A very large industry. So that's, if you think about it, that's another way you can capitalize off of that. Like, let's turn this around.
Yeah.
And then in terms of entrepreneurs, that's huge. The world, I was just about to say that, Anita. Thank you. It does end on the 2nd. I looked it up. It is November
Okay.
2nd, early voting ends. So you do have it, that's Saturday, because
Okay.
Halloween is Thursday. So you have till Saturday to early vote. I will say, I believe it was Adama that I was speaking to. She early voted in Virginia Beach and waited in line for an hour and a half.
Wow.
So yes, and I voted early here,
Was your
and
wait long?
10 minutes, 5 minutes. I did wait in a line though. And so
That's a whole lot.
I say that because we don't know what the fifth brings.
Yeah. The
And
fifth
that's
is going to be
important.
a madhouse. So if
But
y'all can't,
I don't know if anybody remembers, I was telling someone about it today, about when Obama became president, and no one thought Obama was going to win because he was a black man. Let's talk about it real quick. We all was the Obama pen I have upstairs looks just like this one. Seven says Obama in the year. And no one, we all supported it this heavy. This was a very heavy campaign. I don't know what the other side is doing. I don't see any of the other side. But this is a heavy campaign. So I say all that to say, if we do what we're supposed to do, the lines are going to be ugly on the 5th. Take advantage of
yeah.
the time now. All you have to do is Google voting early near me. You will put your address in, it will give you the location. It's not going to be the same location that you normally vote.
And also, if your status says inactive, you go to vote anyway. Okay? Your status means nothing. Your status will change when you vote. Do not check your status and it says inactive. Don't worry about it.
Go up there.
Go vote. It's
Yep.
fine. Your status changes to active once you voted. So don't allow that to be something that stops you.
Adam said that diabetes is huge and not enough resources in the medical field. Constant readmissions for management, and numerous people non-compliant due to access. So due to lack of access. So we're hoping that these gyms that we're dropping will cause you to Google something. And if you do Google and you find out where the location is, send that information to someone else.
Yeah.
I think that in our community specifically, along with other communities, what we don't do is talk about these big problems enough, and then we don't share what we know. So I think it's huge, like what you said about the medical side of it and the house piece of it. Like when you're buying a house, these are things that affect you. Who wants to rent for the rest of their lives? No one. Well, if you do want to rent for the rest of your life, that's cool. But if you notice, rent continues to go up every year. Yeah, that's the caveat.
The
So
only reason why I'm still here is because there was a murder at my apartment and they left my rent the same price to keep me.
And she stays in a very nice place.
Feet away from my balcony.
She stays in my sister does not stay. She stays in a lush and bougie place.
But I'm still apparently in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they got residents to stay. No.
So I think it's just important when I was driving today, I said I want to make sure that we mention the wait. And that there was a wait certain places. We have Anita here who said she voted on Saturday with no line, no wait. We have Adama who voted with an hour and a half. These locations, because I know both of them, were a good 30, 40 minutes apart. So you just don't know. But with that, early voting decreases November 5th time. So it's more we vote and get out there this weekend, the less you do.
And also, like, consider like the ballots being caught on fire. Like, what if you had those people hadn't early voted? They wouldn't have enough. That's the whole hope here, is that there is no time for you to vote again because
that's what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Real quick, Anita said that they tried her at the voting booth because her license was cracked. And so she went off and they let her vote.
Yeah. And I will say, when I went to the voting, I'm glad you went off on them, Anita, because it doesn't matter. When I went to vote, I had to stand in front of the machine and the man said, do not leave this spot until you see that the vote has been added. And I thought that was interesting.
Well, that's funny you said that. I just must be a paranoid Virgo because mine took a while. So once I
Mine,
put it in,
it
it
does
took a
take a
while.
while.
So he hands me my ticket and my sticker and says, "Thank you." I said, "Oh, you're welcome." And I stood there and I waited for it to say,
Yep, the man here, which is
because
very
I'm like, it's not done. It didn't say I voted.
right. And mom said that people's votes were being changed. So at the end of when you're voting, they have you to review. I'm assuming that when you go to review, the vote has changed. So be careful to not just click submit, go back to review. I stood there several times to make
Mine
sure.
was paper. Mine's paper.
You had paper?
Mm-hmm.
No, of course it prints out.
Oh no, it print. Oh, you mean right the final page, the
Yeah.
final right there. I got you.
So when you go on the screen to touch screen, they give you your stylus and it says review. Don't just don't know I voted for
sure
my girl,
everything
but put
says
that and make sure that it says that, because there's been stories that said that people's
it's
votes are changing.
And Anita said they are trying to do anything to keep people from voting. So don't allow them to stop you. Make sure you have all your identity. If I had have known that what Anita went through, I would have brought my passport too. I would have brought everything with me. But now that we've had this conversation, everybody, if you have 2 forms of ID, make sure
you have your voter registration card.
But what I was going to say was Obama. Let's go back to Obama real quick. I waited in line for Obama for 4 hours.
Yes.
In the rain, in the dark, because I went early. I remember it was like 6 a.m., something like that. And I want to say Elijah was with me. He was very, very, very young. And he didn't have school that day. I didn't have daycare. His dad was at work, and I just knew I had to vote. And we stood there with an umbrella. And I want to say, like, my husband at the time, he waited in the car with Elijah for like the first 30, 45 minutes, something like that, so that I could stand in line, and he had to bring them to me. But it was like a process.
Yeah.
And it wrapped around the school.
But you have to do it.
You have to do it.
So when I went to go vote, I'll tell this quick story. I went to go vote, and there was a white lady next to me, and she kept staring at me. And so, of course, I was like, "Hi," and she's like, "Hi." And so, so then she's like, "I'm just so happy to see young people out here voting." And I said, "Oh, yes, of course, I have to." And she said, "That's so good to hear." I said, my mom took me to vote as a kid. I would go with her, and it would be our elementary school, obviously. So, so we would get to, I was like, I would get to see her vote. So this is all I know, ma'am. And she just was looking like, "Oh my goodness, that's so good." And she said, "I just hope that our generation has done enough." She said, "I really don't think we have." And she said, and she was genuine. She was like, "I feel like there were so many things that made it not inclusive and that we have failed." And I said to her, because she was a nice little white lady, I said, "Ma'am, you've done all you can do."
Yeah.
It's up to I said, it's up to my generation now.
That's another thing. It's super important to do all that you can do. I'm actually have a meeting tomorrow because I'll be sending out text messages over the weekend. So I have to do text training. And I've done social media training so that I can repost. So if you see me repost a lot of Kamala stuff, you already know I'm part of the social media campaign team. But do what you can do. It's free to help. You don't have to, it doesn't cost you anything. It's just like serving the church, guys. If it's when you serve the church, you're doing it for the Lord. You're doing it so you can spread the word. It's the same situation. Do what you can do on your end. And like Danielle said, that's all that you can do is your part. And this, like I see LaWanda has given information. Adama has given information. Anita Brown has given information. Believe it or not, someone else is reading this. And it's literally, this is the best part of actual social media and the internet, is because we have this tool where we can spread. We can spread so much. We get to post this on YouTube, and hopefully they won't block it, but we'll post it on YouTube. And, if one person reads it or one person watches it, I bet you there's something small that someone didn't know, whether it was voting early.
Yeah, and I also encourage you guys to go to her website. She has a great deal. I found all of this information, and I sat down and I read through all of it, because it is important to be informed, even though she was going to get my vote anyway. But I needed to know, once she does win, I needed to know what was going to be implemented possibly on year 3.
And
That's fine.
fun fact, other people are running. So when Elijah, we wanted to be extremely proactive. Elijah had an absentee ballot. And so he did not, he could have voted in person. I was a little bothered by that because he actually was home this weekend and he could have voted in person. So he's never actually voted in a space. But he voted here at the house with me. And so when he saw all these other people, he's like, who are these people? I didn't think other people were running.
They know they're not gonna win. Bless their hearts.
Right. So, but I told him, I'm like, yes, baby. Other people are running for president. He's like, wow. So, FYI, for those that didn't know, they're Trump and Kamala are not the only ones running. There are other people running. So, I thought that was a cute fact. It's time to go.
Yes, it is. Well, we thank you guys for showing out today and showing up for us. We appreciate.
Wait, before you go, Adam makes a great point, and I think LaWanda made the same point up top. LaWanda says, if you don't know your polling center, if you're planning on voting on the 5th, please check your location ahead of time. Yeah. Adam then says, I actually have to go to 2 different locations because the district in your precinct matters.
Yeah, all of that matters. I had an issue with my polling place on a smaller election here. And I wasn't even supposed to vote, but I was in there and I was frustrated. I was like, I'm supposed to vote. They were like, ma'am, no.
Yeah, that happened to me too.
I was like, I have to. I was so upset.
I've moved a lot, I think, in the last couple of years. So I went to the wrong place. Taylor says, don't forget, as long as you're in line before the polling place closes, stay in line. And I encourage y'all, wait, for those that
also do not wear anything that says Kamala on it.
Why?
Because you're not supposed to. A lady got kicked out on. You did?
I wore my pen. Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe
I wore this exact.
Well, maybe the lady got kicked out because she was belligerent. She was a Trump supporter, and they were like, "Ma'am, you're gonna have to turn your shirt around." And she was like, "I'm not doing it." It went viral.
Yeah, I had this on. I mean, it doesn't say her. Well, it does have Harris right there.
Okay, maybe you can. I mean, I wouldn't try it, but go ahead if you want.
I mean, but this pen is there anyways. Like, it wasn't for. I just happened to be. You get what LaWanda said. For those who are thinking of sitting out, your local government has openings that you need to vote.
That's right, you do. Don't stop now. Don't stop with this. I vote for every election.
Yeah, me too.
Small and big.
I also want to leave with you guys before we go. I know. See how you guys just educated everybody and you just easily just spit out all this information. Adama, you have a large amount of information about the medical system. Taylor, it seems like you have a lot of information.
Well, she said y'all should have definitely refused you.
Yeah. Oh, well, got it. So, what was I about to say? Post these things, we post quotes and we post affirmations within the next 10 days. Well, do we have 10 days? It's not even 10 days. It's probably like 7 or something. It's 7. Today's Tuesday. So for the next 7 days, I need you guys to post about the election. And it doesn't have to be about who you're voting for. It can just be about information. Well, maybe my hair was covering it.
Probably, yeah.
Whatever.
I didn't know that either. And I've never worn anything, but I also didn't know.
Taylor, you need to be posting about the campaign. I mean, not campaign, just elections and voting, ma'am.
She has a lot of information. Taylor knows all the things, y'all. Okay, but that's it. Thank y'all for coming, and we'll be back in 2 weeks, I think. Or 2 weeks, but maybe not that day, the same day exactly.
Wednesday, Thursday.
But you can repost this video. If you don't want to post anything else, you can repost this video on your timeline. You can make sure that you go and vote for our freedom. And we love y'all. We'll see y'all in a couple of weeks. Don't do nothing that I wouldn't do, which isn't much, because I would do it all.
I didn't do then.
And that's it. I think
have a good week. Be good to yourselves.
Bye, guys.